Black Tulsa is a neighborhood called Greenwood. To visit in 2021 is to be reminded of what happened in 1921.
Okay, Tulsa was the site of what's arguably the worst act of domestic terrorism based on race in American history.
A century ago, over a few hours, white mobs looted homes, burned businesses, and left a thriving black community destroyed. It's known as the Tulsa Race Massacre. Most who know of Greenwood know of that moment. What's less known is the century of history since, and the story it tells of both Tulsa and America.
People are attracted to the shiny object. The shiny object here is the massacre itself, but the massacre is not the story. The ultimate story here is the story of the indomitable human spirit.
After Greenwood burned, most residents didn't run. They helped one of the wealthiest black communities in America rebuild.
There's footage just 3 years after the massacre. Many people mistake this footage for being from before the massacre. You just see this thriving, lively neighborhood again.
What's less visible is a backdrop of outside oppression.
You have insurance companies who were refusing to pay insurance claims. You have the city criminally charging 54 black men for inciting a riot. So you have a city that's doing everything it can to stop this neighborhood from being rebuilt, and yet they succeed in spite of all that.
Greenwood survived a physical massacre. It rebuilt through segregation and bureaucratic injustice. It lasted decades as Black Wall Street, until a second destruction, this time all legal. Federal funds enabled the city to use eminent domain to clear out Greenwood. An interstate was erected through its heart.
You have an almost total destruction of Greenwood, not through guns and bombs, but through federal policy and highways.
By no means is Tulsa alone. The 1921 massacre has gained attention, but acts of mass racial violence took place at that time from Little Rock to Baltimore. The federal act that put a highway through Greenwood did the same to black communities in Montgomery, Kansas City, and Nashville.
Just another trauma. Reconnecting the community is really difficult in light of that sort of huge monstrosity, because once it's gone, it's gone.
Now it's 2021, and a new narrative has emerged. A narrative of Greenwood rising yet again. A narrative of a neighborhood honoring its history and building toward the future. But once again, it's not nearly so simple.
Welcome back to the gallery.
Queen Alexander is a descendant of massacre survivors. She runs the Greenwood Gallery, across from a new museum commemorating the massacre. She is surrounded by new construction and gentrification.
Right now, no one black owns these buildings. Whoever has the power, they're choosing what they want. Therefore, they're not necessarily thinking about the neighborhood and the history. I'm a black business owner on Greenwood, but I don't even have a parking spot.
Today, Black Wall Street borders a minor league baseball field. Black Tulsa is no longer confined to one neighborhood, and the black identity of Greenwood still exists largely within white confines.
In Oklahoma and in other states, legislation is being passed and has been passed even as we speak that really challenges the idea that we should teach about systemic, structural, institutional racism in schools. But if we don't deal with our hard history, our history is going to continue to be hard.
It's like progress with crutches or shackles on it, you know what I mean? It's like it's an illusion. It really is an illusion. So, yeah.
It's easy to view 1921 as far removed from the modern day, but the components that fueled a massacre have hovered over Greenwood ever since. It's the grit of Black Tulsa against a tide of crashing waves.
The problem of race in America is an age-old problem, but it certainly will never be solved unless we confront it directly and acknowledge it. Tulsa is not unlike many communities in America that have experienced historical racial trauma. The question for communities across the nation is, how do we heal?
In Tulsa, I'm Matt Pearl.